The point is, 40 years into this proposition of trying to bring the Palestinians to heel, it hadn't worked. And I believe that there are important lessons in that failure for us. That in many respects, I think what President Bush set out to do after 9/11 was to bring the Islamic world to heel, to get them to conform to a set of norms that we think are necessary for our well-being and our security. And it ain't working. And if 40 years of trying by the Israelis vis-a-vis the Palestinians hasn't worked, 40 years of effort on our part on a much larger scale is not going to work. And therefore, I don't think it makes sense for us 7 years into our war in Afghanistan to imagine that the solution to that conflict lies in sending another 30 or 40,000 U.S. troops.
You know, Afghanistan, not only has the Taliban been regenerated, not only is it again the world's largest poppy growing, heroin growing area in the world, it has been the graveyard of empires since Alexander the Great.
Right.
Those people don't stop fighting.
Right.
And I think you're really suggesting, when you get right, you didn't explicitly say it, but I thought you were very clear. You're saying we'll be there for 40 years.
Oh, I think so.
And we'll still be in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, to go back to the triumphalist thinking of the post-Cold War era, when it seemed like we had an excess of power, excess of resources, we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got an economy that's in the tank. We've got President Obama saying that we could well have trillion-dollar deficits for years.
Yeah.
We begin this year and this administration in the midst of an unprecedented crisis that calls for unprecedented action. Just this week, we saw more people file for unemployment than at any time in the last 26 years. And experts agree that if nothing is done, the unemployment rate could reach double digits. Our economy could fall $1 trillion short of its full capacity, which translates into more than $12,000 in lost income for a family of 4. And we could lose a generation of potential as more young Americans are forced to forego college dreams or the chance to train for the jobs of the future. In short, if we do not act boldly and swiftly, a bad situation could become dramatically worse. That is why I've proposed an American Recovery and Reinvestment Plan to immediately jumpstart job creation as well as long-term economic growth. I'm pleased to say that both parties in Congress are already hard at work on this plan, and I hope to sign it into law in less than a month. It's a plan that will save or create 3 to 4 million jobs over the next few years, and one that recognizes both the paradox and the promise of this moment. The fact that there are millions of Americans trying to find work, even as all around the country there's so much work to be done. That's why this is not just a short-term program to boost employment. It's one that will invest in our most important priorities, like energy and education, healthcare, and a new infrastructure that are necessary to keep us strong and competitive in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And to think that that kind of economic situation is compatible with a continued military effort in Afghanistan that could go on for decades strikes me as absurd. I mean, it's as if we're saying that, you know, on the one hand, our credit card's maxed out. On the other hand, even though I know I've been losing at the tables in Vegas, if I just, you know, just give me a couple more hours, Mama, and I'll be able to win it all back. It's just not likely to happen.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.